War Eagle guys, for the second time in 2 years, quarterback Robby Ashford has entered his name into the transfer portal, this time leaving Auburn. My name is Jake Lazarus with Eli Lingo. Eli, how are we doing on this Friday afternoon?
Dude, we're good. I'm glad to be back home for a couple of weeks, but yeah, this Robby Ashford news was expected, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's kind of bittersweet for any Auburn football fan. I mean, if you've been a fan of this program for any time in the last 2 years, he came here in 2022, played that year. This year it was Peyton Thorne's year, so never really saw the field that much outside of in the run game. But it's pretty bittersweet. He was really good in 22, showed some real signs of positivity, being a good teammate, real talent on the field, could run the ball, was an athlete. And then this year, when he was on the bench, was the bad side, right? We saw the bad side. He wasn't a great teammate. A lot of cryptic social media posts. So it's bittersweet seeing him leave, but I think we all want to see him succeed. Eli, what are your thoughts on, seeing Robby Ashford now out the door?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of summed it up. He was the 2022 year. He looked a little bit hopeful with what he was doing on the field. A lot of the excuses we gave him was, it was a year that Brian Harsin kind of just we fired him, and the cards that he was dealt wasn't really super good. So and then comes around this year, he is given a chance. He saw the field a couple of times, and he did have some spark. But I think with what you said is it's just such raw talent, and it just needs to be developed. So I don't think that's going to happen too well at Auburn, just because we have a guy like Peyton Thorne who we know can run the offense. We know Peyton Thorne has a threat in the air. So I think for him, he needs to go somewhere where they're going to develop him and use him to the best of his ability. And I'm excited to see what he does. I think he can be successful. It's just going to take a little bit of development.
I agree. This is a project quarterback. This is not a guy
Yeah.
who's a finished product by any stretch of the imagination. He
hmm
has a lot of talent running the ball. I think I said this maybe a dozen times over the course of the last year. I would love to see him play a skill position, whether it's running back, tight end, wide receiver. He's a threat with the ball in his hand. But when it comes to being a pocket passer and throwing the ball in general, was never his thing. He threw for
Yeah.
49.5% completion percentage over the last 2 years. When he was given an opportunity to earn the job as the starting guy early in 2023, just never capitalized on any of those opportunities, whether it was Texas A&M, at Cal, in any of the games that Peyton struggled when Robby would come in early in a ball game, he could never capitalize on that opportunity, and that's kind of
Yeah.
the fault of a backup quarterback. That's how you earn more time and earn trust in a program and in a fan base. So moving forward for Robby, I don't know what the next step looks like, but I know it's going to be at a program that was likely a poor program last year that's just looking to rebuild and just take a step up in their quarterback play. So I don't know if you had like any programs that like come to the top of your mind. Do you have any? Like I don't have any off the top of my head, but maybe you do. It's
Uh,
definitely
I
not in the
mean,
SEC in my mind.
no, I mean just in the state of Alabama, maybe like a team. I mean, I don't really know the quarterback positions at any of these teams, but maybe like a South Alabama or like a FCS school like a UAB or
Because
I
he's
think
from the
one
area.
yeah, he's from Alabama, so maybe some local teams. I saw maybe one team was TCU. That is just in the back of my mind. I feel like I saw something around before he kind of officially broke the news was TCU. That would be kind of cool. I don't know. Um, but maybe a smaller program team that, like you said, is like looking to rebuild to get a quarterback that can that they can kind of build a team around and rebuild with the quarterback. So a team like that, I think, would fit him pretty well. Maybe like
So
like Alabama. What's Alabama A&M or not Alabama
mm,
A&M? The yellow
just one of the
the Jack
yeah one
one of the
just a
Alabama, yeah,
Right,
Alabama
a big
State,
school in the
Alabama
state of
State, I think.
Alabama that, yeah, looking to rebuild, stay close to home. The reason why he came from Oregon back to Auburn. So why don't we look a little bit bigger picture at Auburn football? Like, what does this move mean for the future of Auburn football? Because I think going into next year, we're going to get really deep into this in the next few months, but whether it's Peyton Thorne's team or not is TBD. But I think what Robby Ashford leaving does mean is that Coach Freeze and this recruiting staff, and whether it's Walker White or another name in the transfer portal, there will be another guy in this room, in the quarterback room, not just Walker White. There's going to be another one. There's just a roster spot open. It's the way that football works. So if there's a guy in the transfer portal, Eli, that you're looking for, is there a guy that you're like skill set wise that you really like?
So I think the biggest thing is what Hugh Freeze has to decide, and I don't know if he's already decided this or not. But do we go get a guy that you want to compete for the job? Like, do you or like you said, is this Peyton Thorne's team or not? That's the biggest question. Do you believe Peyton Thorne with better receivers like this 2024 class that's coming in? Do you think Peyton Thorne can win you football games? That's the biggest question. Um, I don't know if he can do that. So I think for me, you go get I mean, this transfer portal. If you ever needed a quarterback, this is a transfer portal to do it. There's plenty of studs out there that's transferred up teams. Guys like Cam Ward, I think that's kind of been a name thrown around. That's looking towards looking at Auburn. He would be a really good addition. I feel like he adds a lot of a lot of athletic ability. He adds that aspect of pushing Peyton Thorne, adds the aspect of a quarterback battle. So maybe somebody like that. And like I said, I don't know if Peyton Thorne can really win us football games. We'll have to see. But what
I
do you
mean,
think? Do
I
we
mean,
go?
you said that those 4 kids coming in, maybe 5, who knows, but maybe 4 wide receivers. They're all freshmen at the end of the day. They're a bunch of
True.
18, 19-year-old kids. So they're also a bunch of guys that have to develop. We can't bank
Mm-hmm.
on these 4 kids coming in who probably 2 of the 4 of them will more than likely be starters or at the very least role players.
Mm-hmm.
So to assume that they're going to take on massive roles and be key players in an Auburn team that's going to be a top 25 team next year
Mm-hmm.
might be a stretch. I mean, we can all
Right.
live in fantasy land and we love it. We're Auburn fans. But at the end of the day, that's not a fair assumption to make. So I think bringing in a guy like Cam Ward, I think we're all on the Cam Ward train at this point.
He's a
Um,
good guy. He's a good quarterback.
that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a transfer guy that can push Peyton Thorne, that can elevate the Auburn program in 2024, and can go ahead and win some big football games, whether it's at Alabama, at Georgia, whether it's against Oklahoma, or any of the other big games that we got next year. Because
We have a pretty decent schedule too.
right.
I like our schedule a lot, to be honest.
Should
But
we
yeah,
should we should we do a whole episode previewing the 24 season because we won't be students.
we definitely can. But no, I think that's a good point you made. I think out of the 4, maybe 5 kids that signed in this class were receivers, 2 of them will could start. I think that 2
Right.
guys are Perry Thompson and Cam Coleman. Those 2 guys are just they're freshmen. They're young, but geez, they can play some football. So I don't think they'll have a hard time transferring over from high school to college. But yeah, we need a guy that can win us some football games. I think what for this Auburn team, we're a couple of offensive pieces away from being a really good team. So
Well, if you guys missed the beginning, quarterback Robby Ashford enters his name into the transfer portal for the second time in 2 years. This time leaving Auburn University for a location TBD. Thanks for tuning in. Eagle Eye TV. Go subscribe, like, comment. Go follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Strictly Auburn. I think underscore at the end on Instagram. And yeah, we're going to be posting on Instagram. Always a pleasure. Eli, I'm Jake Lazarus. War Eagle.
War Eagle.